Security officials in the littoral regional chief town Douala, economic headquarters of the Republic of Cameroon, have called on city dwellers to be more vigilant during these last days of 2020. They were speaking today at the Judicial Police in Bonanjo at a time when insecurity is on the rise, not only in the country's economic capital but in other parts of the country. And in this newscast, we shall also talk about progress made so far in the treatment of HIV/AIDS on this day consecrated to the fight against HIV around the world. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from my headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. At a time when insecurity is on the rise in major towns in the Republic of Cameroon, including the country's economic capital, Douala, security officials have urged the population to be more vigilant during these last days of the year. And they were speaking today while presenting some suspected bandits at the Bonanjo Judicial Police here in Douala's Manjikan Gabriel has more.
2 automatic pistols.
Ça c'est l'Italie qui fabrique ça.
Alongside 9 bullets and a machetes were the items collected by the elements of anti-gang unit at the Douala Judicial Police Station from the hands of 9 alleged bandits who have been terrorizing citizens of the business capital. For a while in Douala, they have been engaged in stealing from the innocent citizens and taking away motorcycles. You will see that we caught them with 2 automatic pistols and about 8 bullets. It was because we caught the leader on time. That was how we got the other gang members at Cité, neighborhood in Douala.
Nous avons interpellé un deuxième qui est venu au rendez-vous avec sa machette. Il était question d'aller braquer une moto à la cité. C'est comme ça qu'après nous avons interpellé, tour à tour le receleur.
According to security reports, for these bandits to take away your bike, one pretends to be a passenger while 2 others follow behind to forcefully take away the bike after putting you on gunpoint. One among the 9 caught and presented rejected the allegations. I was at a bar in my quarter with Michael when I received a call from my friend asking me where I was. After 2 minutes, I saw 2 anti-gangs entering the same bar, and there I alerted him about them. But after the call, I returned to my table where the anti-gangs caught me and beat me up mercilessly. After their presentation Tuesday, they will appear before the military court on Wednesday. At the Gendarmerie Company office in Yaoundé 2, it was a 24-year-old alleged killer of the mayor of Nguru Council, Francois Eyongo, who was presented to the press. According to Lieutenant Pierre Ndunda, commander of the company Gendarmerie office Yaoundé 2, the alleged killer, Abesolo Raphael, wasn't in his first killing operation. Abesolo Raphael was caught with an automatic pistol which he uses to carry out his operation and items he had stolen. Security sources say before he goes out for any operation, he is usually drugged.
10 lawyers have decided to kick against the decision of the Cameroon Bar Association to engage in a 5-day strike action against what is qualified as attack on lawyers and the legal profession in the country, notably by administrative and security and defense forces. That decision came after the arrest of some of the lawyers, 2 of them who were in court in the Bonanjo Court of First Instance during the standoff between the lawyers and some security forces in the course of the trial of 2 of their colleagues. And some of the lawyers think that it wasn't the right decision taken by the Cameroon Bar Council to boycott courtrooms for 5 days. Details in this report by Equinoxe, who brings to us the reaction of the Cameroon Bar interim president.
Despite effectiveness of the 5 days nationwide sit-in strike initiated by the Cameroon Bar Council to protest their humiliating attacks, abuse and maltreatment by magistrates, the government and its security forces in recent days, some 10 lawyers in a 3-page communique bearing their signatures disassociate themselves. To them, it is pure injustice being crowned on some of them who rely mostly on execution of their duties for their daily needs. Though admitting there was an attack on lawyers and regretting it, they write to the Bar Council to express their opposing opinion for boycotts of courtrooms, which will only penalize them. They have pledged to answer present in courtrooms to defend their clients, especially as opportunities for profitable cases draw near with regards to the December 6th regional elections. To them, this strike that will see only a category of lawyers benefit from it will be gross injustice and scandalous, thus need for them to avoid such scandal. In response, the interim Bar Council president tells the 10 opposing lawyers, "You have mistaken on the recipient because in reality, the resolution for which you disassociate yourself was taken by members of the council. Consequently, you will want to make the case of your disassociation from this institution, which in view of the provisions of Article 3 of our internal regulations is an operating organ of our Bar Council. It is understood you disassociate yourself from the resolution, but in essence, your slingshot is only on one of the measures. What should we note? Are you therefore in solidarity with the other 2 measures? Finally, you disassociate yourself and, as a result, what do you intend to do through this separation? Should we too disassociate ourselves from you?" In the meantime, it is not clear if all the 10 lawyers disassociating themselves from the order of the Bar Council not to appear in court for 5 days are loyal to the regime's party.
Inhabitants of Fumban in the Nun Division West region of the Republic of Cameroon are now seeking solutions to what is qualified as a traditional catastrophe, an incident that occurred at one of the significant and historic monuments of that part of the country, not only for the people of Fumban but also for the entire people of the Nun Division. A fire incident which occurred at that monument that is at the entrance into the town of Fumban, and of course the authorities in that part of the country were there to see actually what happened, and the people are attributing it to some happenings, some supernatural happenings linked to the tradition of the people, the cultures and traditions of the people of Fumban and the Nun Division as a whole. For greater details, take a listen to the spokesperson of Sultan Bombo Njoya, the traditional ruler of the people of the Nun Division, and of course the mayor of Fumban.
Tree was burned, but this entry They built it in 70 years old. He was the 11th king, Bombo, who decided to build the entry of Fumbai. You know, Fulani people used to come and want to Islamize us by force. One Bamu man suggested to the Sultan to build a hole to surround the town with a big hole, so to avoid Fulbe people to destroy our kingdom. If we can build it before the 1st of January, I will be very, very happy. So we will try to contribute to the building and to make this entry more beautiful than what our forefather built in 17th century.
S'est réveillé ce matin avec un spectacle qui n'est pas.
Inhabitants of Fumban woke up this morning to a heartbreaking thing. We as Africans know what an entry gate to a city or town symbolizes in our respective cultures and traditions. I believe this is one of the most unique entry gates among towns. We have entry gates to private properties, we have entry gates to chiefdoms, but the entry gate to the city of Fumban is unique and one of a kind in Cameroon.
Health experts are urging women in Cameroon to return to the hospitals for antenatal care and delivery. This is coming after an observation indicating that the number of pregnant women visiting hospitals has significantly dropped because of the idea that COVID-19 is contracted within health amenities. These health experts say it's not true, for COVID-19 is contracted everywhere in the society but not in the hospital, according to the health experts. And the call came from officials of the Cameroon United Nations Population Fund program during a review meeting here in Douala today. For me, Armstrong Sander reports.
To officials of the 7th program of the Cameroon United Nations Population Fund Corporation, the Douala encounter had as main objective the review of the program since inception in 2018.
In that 7th program, there is opportunity for us to extend to 2021. So we want to look at analysis of the situation, where were our performances good and where were they bad, and what are we going to put in the last year of the 7th program. So we look at the situation of the 7th program, then we develop plans for the 21st program, the program that is extended to 2021.
Caught along by the coronavirus pandemic, the officials say successes have been recorded, especially within the reproductive health domain.
We have increased in the number of women that were assisted by qualified personnel during delivery. We have increased the number of new users of modern contraceptives. We have increased the number of young adolescent girls who are put on contraceptives. In terms of reproductive health, these were the indicators that we had in the 7th program.
COVID-19, however, did not fail to affect the program negatively.
It did. For example, the number of women that were seeking antenatal care, for example, reduced. They were afraid that when they came to the hospital, that is where they were going to contract the COVID-19. The number of women who came to delivery reduced. The number of women who came to vaccinate their children reduced. So everything just narrowed down because of COVID. It is post-COVID now that we are looking at strategies to buy the women out into coming for antenatal care. It doesn't mean that the COVID will make them not to deliver. Women were pregnant during the COVID period, but they were afraid to come to the main hospitals. They went to small health centers to deliver.
To fully attain its objectives by 2021, even before moving into the 8th program, officials are giving a guarantee for women to return back to hospitals.
No, the guarantees are there because the government did not reduce the number of health personnel. I am still working 100%. I'm the leader, the coordinator of the maternity of the Yaoundé Central Hospital. We deliver about 5,000 a year. So it went down because women were not coming. But they did not tell us to sit down. We were still working. We went to the hospital every day. We're not seeing them. So now that we are still there, they should come. La Quintini is there. Bonasama is there. The doctors have not been touched. They are still there.
some of the challenges of the 7th program included insufficient health facilities, limited health personnel, and limited upgrades of health facilities into modern ones.
And on this day consecrated to the fight against HIV and AIDS around the World Health Organization is urging leaders around the world to maintain services during the COVID-19 pandemic, and the pandemic has adversely affected the clinical care and prevention of HIV/AIDS. Greater details in this extract of Dr. Esteban Martinez, Associate Professor of Medicine, University of Barcelona. Take a listen.
In a great impact on both clinical care and prevention, particularly clinical care. There has been a decrease in laboratory procedures, also in visits, and we have, above all, trying to maintain delivery of medication. We have tried to ensure that every patient got his or her treatment, not to lose viral control, the control of the illness. One should not be surprised that the number of diagnoses may have decreased because the facilities to grant those diagnoses have been either closed down or working at a very low capacity. So this is expected. What we do not know is whether this reduction reflects a real decrease in the incidence of diagnosis. We fear that the incidence of diagnosis is still the same as before, but most of them have gone missed or underdiagnosed. The consequence of that would be that those people who may have been infected but are not readily diagnosed may progress to a worse clinical situation, and also they may be spreading the infection without being conscious about it. Well, I think that's the part that has been most well preserved. I think for those patients already on clinical care, we have tried to maintain, to secure the availability of antiretroviral therapy, and at least this is true for Europe, but probably not the same for emerging countries in other parts of the world.
HIV treatment changed within the last few decades. While responding to this question, Dr. Kimberly Smith, healthcare expert, highlights a significant progress made in the treatment of HIV and AIDS. Take a listen.
Think about HIV treatment in the early days. It was very complicated. Individuals needed to take many pills every day, 20 or more, multiple times a day, to the point where individuals sometimes needed an alarm clock to remind them of taking their medicines. Not only were they complicated, but they also were associated with many difficult side effects, which made it hard for people to consistently take their medications. And so over the past few decades, we've made significant progress. Individuals now can take as little as 1 pill a day to keep their HIV under control. And that's a major improvement. We have developed a new treatment called Dovato, and it is a medication that is 1 pill, but it contains only 2 medicines. And that's an improvement over other regimens that contain 3 or more medications. And so why is that important? Well, we know every medication has side effects. And so if you can reduce the number of medicines by 1/3 or maybe even half, then hopefully you can reduce the number of side effects that individuals experience over time. And that's really important when you think about individuals taking medicines over decades. You know, decades of side effects can be difficult for people to handle. So what we're excited about is simplifying therapy, fewer medications, fewer side effects, which will allow people to be successful at keeping their virus suppressed over the long term. And if they keep their virus suppressed over the long term, they can live lives that are as long as individuals who are not living with HIV. In addition to that, individuals who have virus that's suppressed don't pass HIV on to their sexual partners. And so we think that's really an important advance and very exciting for individuals living with HIV to have that new option. Well, again, the goal is to really try to make HIV treatment a lesser part of people's lives. We at ViiV Healthcare believe that people should only take as many medications as they need to keep their HIV under control. And keeping their HIV under control means, again, long, healthy lives and not passing HIV on to their partners. And that part about not passing HIV on to sexual partners is very important at empowering individuals and reducing stigma. And that's one of the biggest challenges that people who are living with HIV experience, is that HIV is still very stigmatized. And so we think that this is a major advance to be able to say, what we say is U equals U, undetectable equals untransmittable. And so to be able to reduce the number of medications necessary to get to that undetectable virus is a major advance forward.
And this is where we end this primetime edition of the news on Equinoxe Television. Do stay with us. Equinoxe Wise up next.